Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna dive right into it because why not? I promised you, one of our favorite letter writers, a foundational member of the Post-Geek Singularity, our own Willow Yang, is back with her take on DS9's Far Beyond the Stars. And by the way, if you want to hear more of Willow Yang's thoughts, you can go to the Burnettwork.net website and find her on our column. Well, we turn her letters into a column, Willow Talk. Greetings, Rob. I am writing my thoughts on Deep Space Nine's Far Beyond the Stars. To give a quick recap, Sisko has a vision, seemingly from the wormhole aliens, in which he is an African-American science fiction writer from the 1950s by the name of Benny Russell. His crewmates and various other people in this life also appear in the vision. Kira, Quark, Bashir, O'Brien, Martok, and Jadzia are his co-workers at the magazine company Incredible Tales, with Odo being the editor. Dukat and Weyoun are two policemen. His father Joseph is a preacher, and Jake is a young delinquent named Jimmy, and Cassidy is still his girlfriend. Throughout the vision, Benny experiences and witnesses racial discrimination, including a fatal encounter between Jimmy and the police. After seeing a sketch of a space station, he imagines up the world of Deep Space Nine, which of course has a black man, Benjamin Sisko, as the main hero. He writes the story, but the magazine owner refuses to have it published and fires Benny from the company. Benny suffers a breakdown and is told by the preacher that he is both the dreamer and the dream. The vision ends, and Sisko wakes up and wonders whether his reality is actually all a dream, and that somewhere far beyond all those distant stars, Benny Russell is dreaming of them. The end. Far Beyond the Stars is quite distinct from anything that I've seen from Star Trek. There have been plenty of instances where the characters go back to an early period in American history, but even ones that involve characters that are considered racial minorities, Time's Arrow for instance, the stories have never delved into the racism that has stained humanity's past. There have been plenty of episodes that dealt with racial and other forms of discrimination. Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, The Outcast, the entire occupation of Bajor by the Cardassians. But these stories do not involve humans. Rather, human issues are cloaked in symbolism and allegory. When it comes to humans, Star Trek has typically taken the approach of having non-white characters without drawing attention to their ethnic or racial backgrounds. Characters like Sulu, Uhura, Geordi, Bashir, and Keiko are treated largely the same as their white counterparts. At the most, there may be a reference to Uhura knowing Swahili or Keiko having a memory of watching her grandmother doing Japanese calligraphy. On the few occasions that race does get brought up, such as the Native Americans in Journey's End and how Voyager has sometimes dealt with Chakotay's character, it feels rather jarring and out of place in the 24th century setting. Far Beyond the Stars is one of the few occasions where Star Trek chooses to abandon allegory and tackle a social issue head-on. The one major critique I have for the episode is that there is no clear explanation for the whole setup. It is left ambiguous as to why Sisko received the vision. We only know that it was from the so-called prophets, but we don't know why they did it. This can be contrasted with The Next Generation's The Inner Light, which had a somewhat similar premise of the main character, this time Picard, living as a different person in a vision, but provided a much more concrete and satisfying reason for it. The aliens wanted him to carry the memories of their culture. Of course, I do understand that not everything needs to be explained away, and there are many people that are probably perfectly satisfied with what we got from Far Beyond the Stars. I personally, however, just wanted a bit more, and I found the ending, with Sisko musing over the possibility all of DS9 being just a dream, to be a bit of a cop-out. Having said that, I really enjoyed the episode. I got a huge kick out of seeing all the characters out of their usual makeup, and the actors out of their usual makeup and the prosthetics as they played human characters. I wasn't able to even recognize Mark Alamo and Jeffrey Combs after having grown accustomed to seeing them as Dukat and Weyoun respectively. Avery Brooks, who was apparently also the director, gracefully carried the episode on his shoulders with a rather nuanced performance of a man quietly enduring the constant battery of abuse from an unjust society until he has finally reached his breaking point, upon which he bursts in an explosion of raw emotion. The remaining cast members also did a commendable job in their new roles, some of which were similar to the characters they typically played in the series. Ducat and Weyoun as the two racist cops, and others very different, Quark as an outspoken liberal. Even though Far Beyond the Stars was made more than 20 years ago and largely set in the 50s, the social issues being presented still, depressingly, resonate today. I thought it was a rather daring move for DS9 to not hide behind the usual guise of allegory. I had to do a double take when Jimmy uttered the N-word, something that I never expected to hear on Star Trek. Far Beyond the Stars ventured outside the typical norms of the show by graphically depicting the racism faced by black people in the United States. Early on, Benny is seen being racially profiled and questioned by police officers while walking down the street at night. Toward the end, the two officers shoot and kill Jimmy while he was breaking into a car and then claim that their use of deadly force was justified because Jimmy had a weapon, a crowbar. How familiar does this sound today, 70 years after the story's setting and 20 years after the episode's creation? Readers of Incredible Tales will accept a story about aliens from Mars, but a story about a black captain is just too far-fetched. And throughout it all, Benny is told to be patient, to accept the way things are. "I'm sorry, Benny. I wish things were different, but they're not," the editor tells him after he was excluded from the company's photo shoot. But, as Benny notes, wishing never changed a damn thing. And the apex of the story, after he is once again told to stay calm, to accept the status quo, Benny explodes with, "No! I'm tired of being calm. Calm never got me a damn thing." That line and the sentiment behind it still very much reflects the anger and frustration that many are feeling today. Perhaps it's a testament to how well the writers are able to predict current issues. Perhaps it's a searing indictment of how incremental our progress has been. But Far Beyond the Stars holds up and remains a highly relevant story to this day. Live long and prosper, Willow Yang. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls, this is why we love Willow Yang. You know, she's often said that she wants to be a writer, even though she's a molecular biologist, but I think she can do both. Michael Crichton he was a doctor for a while, but then he became a novelist, a film director, and a TV producer. So, Willow, I think you can pretty much do anything.